Hey everyone, welcome back to Think in English podcast. I'm Max.
And I'm Lily. It's great to have you here with us again.
Hi Lily, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Max. I had a nice morning. I made some tea, opened my window, and enjoyed the cool air.
That sounds peaceful. I had coffee this morning, as usual.
As usual, Max, I think you drink coffee every morning.
I do. Maybe I should try tea one day.
Maybe. But today we have a very useful topic.
Yes, today we're talking about something you will hear in many situations.
Someone looks at you and says, "Tell me about yourself."
And suddenly you think, oh no, what should I say?
Exactly. So today we're going to make it easy.
Before we start, Lily, can we ask our listeners for a quick favor?
Of course. If you enjoy learning English with us, please like this episode and subscribe to Think in English podcast.
And share this episode with a friend who is learning English.
All right, let's get started.
Lily, let me ask you the big question.
Okay, I'm ready.
Tell me about yourself.
Oh, you started already?
Of course, we need to practice.
Okay. My name is Lily. I'm 25 years old. I'm from a small town, but I live in a big city now. I work in a small office, and I really enjoy my job.
Nice. That was a good introduction.
Really?
Yes, you gave us some important information. Your name, your age, where you are from, where you live, and what you do.
So I don't need to tell my whole life story?
Definitely not.
Good, because I have a very long story.
I know. We might need 3 episodes.
Hey,
I'm joking.
I know.
When someone says, "Tell me about yourself," you can start with simple information. For example, my name is Max. I'm from Canada. I live in New York. I work in marketing.
That sounds simple.
It is, and simple is good, especially when you are learning English.
I think many English learners worry because they want to sound perfect.
That's true, but you don't need perfect English to introduce yourself.
You just need a few useful sentences.
Exactly.
Okay, Max, now it's your turn. Tell me about yourself.
All right. My name is Max. I'm 30 years old. I grew up in a small town, but now I live in the city. I work as a content creator, and I love helping people learn English.
Nice.
Thank you.
But you forgot something.
What?
You love coffee.
Oh, right. That is very important information.
Very important.
Okay. I love coffee, music, and traveling.
Much better.
See? You can also talk about things you like.
That's a useful phrase. I like.
Yes. You can say, I like reading. I like cooking. I like music. Or I enjoy watching movies.
Wait, is enjoy the same as like?
Almost. Enjoy means you get pleasure from something. For example, I enjoy cooking.
So I can say I enjoy learning English.
Exactly.
I like that phrase.
And you just used it.
Oh, I did.
That's the best way to learn.
Let me tell you a story about this.
Please do.
A few months ago, I went to a small community event. I didn't know many people there. I was standing near the door with a glass of water.
Were you nervous?
A little. I'm usually friendly, but starting a conversation with a stranger can be difficult.
I understand.
Then a woman walked over to me. Her name was Sarah.
What did she say?
She smiled and said, "Hi, I'm Sarah. Tell me about yourself."
Oh, that question again.
Exactly. And my mind went completely blank.
Really?
Yes, I suddenly forgot everything about myself.
That happens.
I said, "My name is Lily."
That's a good start.
Then I stopped.
You stopped?
Completely.
What did Sarah do?
She smiled and said, "That's a good start."
That's kind.
Yes. Then she asked, "Where are you from?"
And that helped.
It did. I said, "I'm from a small town near the coast, but I live here now."
Nice.
Then she asked, "What do you do?"
Another very useful question.
I said, "I work in an office. I'm an assistant."
Great.
Then she asked, "What do you like to do in your free time?"
Another important question.
Yes. I said, "I like reading, walking, and watching movies." That sounds natural. And suddenly we had a conversation.
So you started with simple facts and then talked about your interests.
Exactly.
And interests means the things you like or enjoy doing.
Right. So if someone asks, "What are your interests?" I can say, "Mine interests are music and photography."
Perfect.
I actually became friends with Sarah after that.
Really?
Yes, we talked for almost an hour.
And it all started with "Tell me about yourself."
Exactly.
That's a great example because you don't need a long answer. You can give a little information and let the other person ask questions.
Yes, that makes the conversation easier.
And that is important. Tell me about yourself is often an invitation to start a conversation.
Not a request for your entire biography.
Exactly.
Now I want to hear your story.
Okay, mine happened during a job interview.
Ah, that's a very common situation.
Yes, a few years ago, I had an interview for a new job. I was prepared. I had my clothes ready. I had my documents ready.
And your coffee?
Of course.
Of course.
I arrived early and sat in the waiting room. I felt calm.
That sounds good.
Then the interviewer came in and said, "Good morning, Max. Please have a seat."
Very professional.
I sat down. He looked at my resume, smiled, and asked, "So, tell me about yourself."
And what did you say?
I started talking too much.
Oh no.
I talked about where I was born, my school, my first job, my hobbies, my favorite food.
Your favorite food?
Yes,
Max,
I know, it was too much.
what was your favorite food?
That is not the important part.
It's a little important.
Anyway, after a few minutes, I realized I was giving too much information.
So what did you do?
I stopped and said, "Let me give you a short introduction."
That sounds useful.
It is. A short introduction means a brief way to tell someone basic information about yourself.
So you can say, let me give you a short introduction.
Yes. Then I started again.
What did you say?
I said, "My name is Max. I have experience in content creation and communication. I enjoy working with people, and I'm especially interested in education. In my free time, I like reading and traveling."
Much better.
Much better.
And what happened?
The interviewer asked me more questions about my experience.
So your short introduction helped guide the conversation.
Exactly. Did you get the job? Yes.
Nice.
I was very happy, and I learned something important that day.
What did you learn?
When someone says, "Tell me about yourself," you don't need to say everything. Choose a few important things.
Name, where you're from, what you do, and what you like.
Exactly.
And maybe your goals if the situation is more formal.
Right. For example, in a job interview, you can say, "I'm looking for an opportunity to grow."
Grow here means to improve and develop, right?
Exactly. If you say, "I want to grow in my career," you mean you want to learn more, improve your skills, and become better at your work.
That's a very useful phrase.
It is.
Let's imagine I meet someone new. What should I say?
You can keep it simple.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Lily. I'm from Ghana. I live in Accra. I work in an office. I enjoy reading and listening to music. It's nice to meet you.
That sounds easy.
Exactly.
What if I'm talking to someone at a party?
You can make it more casual.
Like what?
Hi, I'm Lily. I'm new here. I work in marketing. I love music and movies. How about you?
Oh, I like how about you.
It keeps the conversation going.
So I don't have to do all the talking.
Correct.
I can answer and then ask the other person about themselves.
Exactly.
That makes conversations much easier.
It does.
There's another thing I want to mention.
Go ahead.
Sometimes people ask, "What do you do?"
Right.
And beginners may think, what am I doing right now?
That's funny.
But usually, what do you do means, what is your job?
Exactly. For example, I'm a teacher. I'm a student. I work in a bank. I'm a designer.
That is very useful.
And remember, you can also say, "I work as a teacher."
Or I work as a designer.
Yes.
What about age? Should we always say our age?
No, it depends on the situation.
Good.
With friends or in casual conversation, you can share your age if you want, but you don't have to include it in every introduction.
So we should choose information that fits the situation.
Exactly.
Max, I think we should give our listeners a little challenge.
I agree.
Think about yourself right now.
Say your name.
Say where you are from.
Say where you live.
Say what you do.
And say one thing you enjoy.
For example, "Hi, I'm Lily. I'm from Ghana. I live in Accra. I work in an office. I enjoy listening to music."
Very nice.
And then ask, "How about you?"
Perfect.
You can practice that introduction again and again.
And don't worry about mistakes.
Yes, your goal is to communicate, not to sound perfect.
That's right.
Let's quickly review what we learned today.
Okay. First, you can start with, "My name is."
Then, "I'm from,"
"I live in."
"I work as," or "I work in."
And "I enjoy."
We also learned, "What do you do?" Usually that means, what is your job?
And we learned, let me give you a short introduction.
That is useful for more formal situations, especially interviews.
Finally, remember, you don't need a long answer.
Give a few simple details and let the conversation continue.
Exactly.
Now it's your turn.
Yes, here's today's question. If someone asked you, tell me about yourself, what would you say?
Write your answer in the comments. You can use just 3 or 4 sentences.
Start with your name, where you're from, what you do, and one thing you enjoy.
And don't worry about mistakes. We're here to learn together.
If you enjoyed this episode, please like the video and subscribe to Think in English podcast.
And share it with another English learner who wants to speak more confidently.
Thank you so much for spending time with us today.
We hope you feel more confident the next time someone says, tell me about yourself.
Keep practicing.
Keep speaking.
And keep thinking in English.
See you next time, Max.
See you next time, Lily.
Bye, everyone.